Guys, Ray from Love You RV and Boat. Today I'm going to give you a look at the installation of my new Xantrex Freedom XC Pro inverter charger and also its companion display, remote display with Bluetooth. Now I've given you a look at the batteries that I installed a little while ago and kind of an overview of my whole system that I'm testing out down here boondocking in the Southwest this winter season. And testing out the Freedom X Pro 3000. It has a 150 amp charger as well. I do have in my boat, if you missed that video, I'll link back to it, where I installed the Freedom X Pro 2000 Marine in my boat. Now we bought that one ourselves, and in between time, Xantrex contacted me and offered me the batteries and this inverter to use in our Southwest trip and test it and do some installation videos and reviews. So I did not pay for this inverter that you're seeing in this video. Anyway, I'm just going to go through and show you how I installed it in my RV and how I'm going to use it. And also we'll do some quick testing. I'm going to try seeing how much energy I can put into those batteries via the charger in this inverter charger using my small 2000 watt generator. And we'll also see if it can fire up my 14.5 kBTU Furrion air conditioner so that we can have some off-grid air conditioning. Anyway, first we'll give you a deeper look at the hardware here and some of the inputs and outputs. Then we'll show you how I wired it into my system. So let's go. So before I screw it in there, I just wanted to give you a look at both sides of this inverter while I have it out. On one end you got some very large fans, metal grills. This is a cutout here that's for an optional piece you can buy. You can mount a GFCI outlet on this side if that's the way you want it to go. I'm going to hardwire mine in, so I don't need that. And then there's a breaker there, kind of a fuse. And just some statistics here. Charge and pass-through AC input, 120 volts, 50 amp max. AC output, 120 volts, 50 amp max. 40 amp continuous. DC output, 14.4 volts AC, 150 amp max. That's the charger. And then in invert mode they have DC input, 12 volt DC, 304 amps max, and AC output 120 volts, 3000 watts, 25 amps continuous. Freedom XC Pro 3000. Here we have our display, and you can actually adjust things through the display. I'm going to get install the optional remote panel, which also has Bluetooth. And then there's a power button here. Then on the other side, let's flip it around, we have the inputs and output wiring. So the AC in and out goes here, and the DC input goes here. And then we have an I/O port. That's for running different things, like on boats you can tie into different equipment and be able to talk to like the chart plotter and things, so you can see it on a different display screen. There's for the remote panel. And BST is battery temperature sensor. So if you're using lead acid batteries, they'll have like a temperature sensor you plug in there, so it can adjust the charging algorithm for temperature. Don't need that for my lithium. And then there's a USB slot here. Usually that's for upgrading the firmware in the unit. And here we have a screw. I really like this part here, how they've constructed this. It makes it so easy to do the wiring. Some nice big DC lugs here for your negative and positive battery wires. And then over here is a nice big lug for the ground wire that goes to the frame. That is especially critical in boats. You need to size that not less than one size smaller than what you use for your your main DC battery wires, just as a safety concern. In RVs, you don't need to go as big as that by code. And then over here we have where the AC goes in, and they use some very large lever nuts to do that. Just kind of nice, so you can plug in the AC out and the AC in. There we go. So yeah, I do really like the construction of these inverters. It's also quite a small, compact inverter compared to some of them of similar size. Like this is a 3,000 watt. You can get some of them that have a big transformer in them, and they're called low frequency inverters, or this is a high frequency inverter. Keeps the size down, but they still seem to be able to pull a lot of power out of this one. Very well designed. Anyway, let's get it mounted and hooked up. So let's give you a look at my installation in my Cougar fifth wheel. Right in the front storage compartment here is where I have my batteries installed. If you missed that, I'll link back to I've done a video on the Xantrex batteries. And right above them I installed the inverter. Now for mounting, kind of lucky here because up here there's a rail that goes across, and I was able to kind of put the flange behind that rail, and that keeps it snugged against. This is a bunch of OBS board behind there, and then they have kind of a plastic covering over it. It's kind of a divider wall between the front storage compartment and the basement storage. And then at the bottom there was 2 screw holes for mounting, and then I added another pair of screws just to give it a little more strength there, as we go through a lot of bumpy roads. On this side is where the fans are, exhaust fans. There's 2 fans, so I give it lots of room for cooling. Also the front compartment stays fairly cool because there's outside air can come in through here, and there's also some holes that go into my propane area that goes to the outside as well. So I find this compartment stays one of the coolest places in the RV. So on this side we have our inputs and outputs. Let's take that off again and show you how that's been wired in. So on the DC input for the batteries, I have 2 batteries here, so they're wired in parallel. They're both capable of putting out 150 amps. Which is perfect for this because it maxes out at 300 amps on the DC input. So I have them going to a bus bar first to combine the batteries, and then I've got quite a short lead going in and then connected to the terminal in there. Negative terminal comes down to my negative bus bar, and then it goes back to the batteries. So I have a relatively short path between the inverter and the batteries. So I was able to use, this is what they call 2-aught cable or 00 type cable. You know, it's about as thick as your finger. So between the 2 of those and the short run, it can easily handle the power that's required for here without too much voltage drop at all. At the bottom here with the grounding, went a bit overkill there, right back down to the ground. So the case ground is the same size cable. You could use much smaller cable. It's basically just a safety ground in case this thing becomes hot for any reason. On the AC side of things, so on the input and output, you can see up there, they're very easy, just stripped back the wiring and neutral, ground, and hot. For the input, a lot of people, because this has a built-in transfer switch, a lot of people are going to just run their main RV cable into it. But I kind of already had a setup with a transfer switch in place in my power distribution area of my fifth wheel. So I did a little different here because I'm mostly off-grid, and this is the AC input here is going to be from my generator. And I have only a 2,000 watt generator, so I have over here a special second power input on my fifth wheel that I can plug my generator in, or I could plug a 20 amp shore power into that. But anyway, that's what I've decided to wire in to here to take advantage of its charging of the batteries. So let's give you a look at my generator there. Yeah, so I would plug this generator into there, and then it goes into here, and it also will transfer the power to my RV, the AC power, but it also will charge the batteries, and it also can load share with AC power. If I needed more power than the AC can provide, it'll take it out of the batteries. So that output goes along here and then through the wall. You can say use some plastic conduit there, and basically this is just a chopped up 30 amp power cord. At one point I replaced my 30 amp power cord because the end connectors are getting a little rough on them, but I kept the actual cord, so I've reused it for this application. So that goes through there, and then it goes through another wall, and it ends up at my power distribution area, and it goes through a transfer switch from my main shore power. Anyway, it's been a good installation. It just fit perfectly in there in my storage compartment, and it really cleaned things up a lot compared to what I had before, because before I had a big charger sitting here, dedicated battery charger that was using that input over there when I was charging with my generator. So I was able to completely remove it, and it was only a 50 amp charger. Now with this up to 150 amp charging capability, I can totally max out my little generator. I think I can almost get up to 100 amps into my batteries using this charger. Anyway, it's going to rain tomorrow, so maybe we'll test that out, because I'm probably going to need to fire up my generator. And finally, the other wire I have is kind of looks like a telephone cable, plugs into the back here, and that's for a remote display with Bluetooth that I got to combine with this, and I highly recommend you get that. You know, this thing, you have to push the buttons. There's a enter, OK, escape, and you go in all the settings. You'd have to go through and just push those buttons. But with the remote display, not only can you have that display mounted remotely, you can use Bluetooth to do all your settings, which is far easier on the smartphone app. So that comes out of there, and it's following through the wall, and it goes into a storage bay, and then it goes up into a wall in my bathroom. So I'll just give you a look where I mounted it. So in our trailer, there's a special room. It's like a toilet room, and so I have everything solar wiring and other battery monitor wiring going in here. And I bought some access panels, made a hole in the wall. These actually are on-off switches for my solar arrays on the roof. And I have an old trimetric battery monitor been mounted here a long time. And then here's the Xantrex remote display. And same thing, you can go through here and look at different things and change things through these little buttons, but basically the killer thing that this does is give you Bluetooth, and then you can see everything on an app. I'll give you a look at that. Here we go, FXC control. Opens it up and it finds the thing right away. So you can see Freedom XC Pro 3000, and it's telling me nothing's coming in on the grid right now. It's showing the load. So this is what the inverter is powering. You see 760 something, 71 watts. It's just various RV, very low wattage loads, and we actually have a Starlink internet dish that's powering. And then it's showing the batteries. Right now they're actually charging. We're getting late day sun, but really the batteries are near 100% as well. So that makes it easy for you to quickly see what's going on. But what you really want is this settings screen where you can go in and adjust all the various settings for the inverter and the charger. stuff like that. System, do your firmware, everything. Which, like I say, you can do using the buttons, but it's kind of a convoluted affair, you know. You have to learn all the different bus keystrokes and go beep, 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 beep. This just makes it so much easier. I actually wish they would just include this remote panel with the inverter, but it is an option. And also you can get alerts here. It says utility power not available. Just giving me a warning that it's not plugged in, so I can just delete that alert. Anyway, let's wrap up this video with a few quick tests. I'm going to try a charging test using my 2000 watt generator that I always use off grid, and we'll see what the maximum charge amperage we can get into those batteries with it. And I guess as a test we'll also try running the air conditioner. That'll give it a good surge load. When an air conditioner starts, the compressor, when it starts, they have a locked rotor amperage that it needs to overcome to get that compressor going. I do have a soft starter installed, so it's a little bit better than stock, but still I could never start it with my 2000 watt generator, and I think this should be able to start it with ease, being 3000 watts. And also this inverter is able to, for 2 seconds, it's able to put out 6000 watts, so that should be plenty to start that air conditioner, but we'll do it just so you know. Yeah, so I'll wait till tomorrow. There's a big storm coming in with lots of rain and cloud, so I'll give you a generator test tomorrow. But what we can do today is give it a output test. We'll see if it can run my air conditioner. That's always what people ask. Can your inverter and batteries run your air conditioner? I have a 14.5 1000 BTU AC on the roof. So we'll just go down here. I usually have it switched off because I really don't usually need to run it. So we'll switch the AC on there. So yeah, this is the power station, and behind there's a transfer switch. So that inverter power right now is coming in here, showing 122 volts. It's only 0.5 amps AC because all it's doing is running my Starlink and a few other minor things. Go up to the AC here, go to cooling mode, put her down to say 74, should click on. There we go. Now I do have a soft starter in the AC, but you can see it easily started up. 121 volts, about 10 amps. That's what the AC is showing there. Let's go show you in here. Go to that remote readout. There we are. So the battery is showing 12.9 volts. So it's really not coming down very much at all. And 1.28 kilowatts, or 1280 watts. Everything was fully charged. We'll see what my meter says. Yeah, 102 amps coming out of the batteries. So each battery's putting out 50 amps to run the air conditioner. So that those batteries could probably run about 4.5 hours. Of course, if I fired up the generator, it would run much longer. There we are, 46 Fahrenheit. Nice cool air while we're boondocking off grid. So like I say, I could probably, if I was only going by batteries, I'm going to run those down in around 4 hours or so. But this inverter can load share, so I could fire up my generator and pretty well run off of gasoline. It just helps me run off like my generator would have. My generator isn't able to start my air conditioner on its own, but using the inverter and the batteries, I can fire up the generator. Then its transfer switch would feed through, and I can run the little 2000 watt generator. It's really only a 1600 watt would run my air conditioner for me as long as I had fuel. Give you a listen to the fans in here. You put a high load like a microwave or the air conditioner on it, these fans fire up. But usually you don't hear them on small loads. They don't really come up. They're kind of speed controlled. So when you're running the air conditioner or the microwave, you don't really hear this. But handling it, no problem at all. And we'll just turn that off. You can kind of hear the inverter fan. It'll run for a little bit after, but it actually turns off pretty quick. So here we are. Gonna have a cruddy day today, quite windy, so won't be bothering my neighbors with this test. But we put out my little generator and plugged it into that plug. And I don't know if you can see that, but there we go. You can see that little red flashing light. That means the generator is running at max. It's just about to go into overload. And I was able to get it up to 100 amps of charging. See on my battery monitor there, we're putting 113 amps because I'm actually getting some solar energy at the same time. So that's pretty cool. So there you go. That's the inverter installation and a quick look at charging and discharging. I'm going to come back and do a deep dive into all the settings and all the features for you. I'm still kind of learning it all myself. I've been using the Xantrex system for about a month now, out boondocking, and I'm more than happy with it. It's totally been serving our needs. Get out here in the desert and it's almost like I'm plugged in at the RV park. Till next time, Ray from Lovey RV and Boat. Cheers, guys.